Welcome to the source. The source. Source. Hey, get the source.
Yo, good morning, everybody. Happy to be on the weekend, right? Saturday morning. Hope you all had a nice Friday night. I had a green Friday in baseball. You gotta love it. Baseball it's been rough for me the last couple weeks, so didn't win a ton of money. I think it was about 0.5, 0.6 units or something. But hey, I will take it based on how baseball's gone the last couple weeks. So take a green Friday night. Hope you all had a profitable one as well. We're doing football first because we're going to do baseball at 11:30, which is the time we normally do it. But we're going to get football out of the way first. And we're starting with the Steelers. Pittsburgh Steelers. Win total at 8.5. Now, the big change here is Arthur Smith at OC, obviously. Actually opens up the season against his former team, the Falcons, on the road in Atlanta. So Arthur Smith gets a new job as the OC in Pittsburgh, and his first game is in his old stadium. Obviously, we know Matt Canada didn't work out yesterday. Last year, Canada was really struggling. The offense couldn't get moving. Now, at the second half of the season, we saw that run game get going, and I know that's what Prop Fever wants to talk about because he thinks the Steelers' run game under Arthur Smith could be pretty impressive. Remember, Arthur Smith was the OC in 2019 in those Titans teams that went on the playoff runs with Derrick Henry. So you take into account that the Steelers were getting the run game going second half of the season. They first round pick, drafted a run blocking left tackle. They bring in Arthur Smith, who has shown us he could develop a rushing attack. He did it in Atlanta. He did it in Tennessee, won a couple playoff runs. Probably for the Steelers might be able to run the football this year.
I hope they could run. Jesus Christ. Wow, that was coming in hot right there. Sorry if I blew out some of your eardrums. Jesus Christ. I hope they could run the football because I don't know if they're going to be doing many other things with those two quarterbacks. Lots of questions there. So Arthur Smith, if you want to say some things about Arthur Smith as a head coach, I mean, Jesus Christ, that run in Atlanta was quite poor. But as an offensive coordinator, as a Titan, I mean, he made Ryan Tannehill a reputable quarterback. Remember in Miami, he was awful. And then he went to Tennessee, and he did wonders with him through the play-action game. And I think he could do just that with Russell Wilson if he's willing to play within the structure of the offense. And same thing with Justin Fields. But what I want to focus on is that running game, as you mentioned. The Steelers' offensive line, through the last two seasons, what they've done in the offseason is they've built a strong offensive line, not really much so in terms of pass protection, but what they have been doing is they've been building a strong offensive line in terms of running the ball. They now brought in Fautanu, which is even further strengthened that offensive line in terms of running the football. And you've got Jaylen Warren, who's about as explosive as it comes. Everybody loves themselves from Jaylen Warren. But even Najee Harris in the back half of last season was starting to look like him former self, that first-round pick that everybody was very hyped to draft his rookie season. And if they could just get that going, that run game, that foundational piece, I really think that could open up some things in the passing game. I know that they don't really have the best of pieces. I mean, George Pickens is really going to have to take that step if this offense is going to be anything. But I think that he can, and Freiermuth, he was really banged up last year. I mean, if you had him in fantasy, he was a nobody. But I think that Freiermuth is supremely talented. I think that he's going to remind people who he is this season. And I think the offense, I think it definitely has to take a step forward this season. Is it going to be anything phenomenal? No. But I think Arthur Smith and a few of these pieces reminds a lot of people who they are. This is talented. There's some talent on this team. Problem is, though, as we'll mention, is that brutal schedule. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, we'll talk about the schedule in a second. We'll talk about the schedule in a second. Click on the dots next to your mic and do an audio gain and do like a -3. That'll fix the problem you're having there. Filters, and then a gain to drop it like 3 decibels. That's why it's doing that, by the way. All right, so to add on to that, we're talking about the Steelers offense, and we all know this was a bad offense last year, right? That's no secret. But if you look at the rushing numbers, I mean, they finished the season with the 16th ranked rushing attack, 12th in EPA per carry, 12th in rushing DVOA. On the road, top 10 rushing attack, 10th in rushing rank on the road, 9th in rush, 7th in DVOA. Run blocking, 16th in run blocking grades, 11th in adjusted line yards. So this was a top half rushing attack last season with Matt Canada for most of it. So now you add on that tackle, you bring in Arthur Smith, take the pressure of being a head coach off of his shoulders and let him just focus on moving the football and getting the rushing attack going that we know he's capable of building. I completely agree. Steelers are going to run the football. I will say, on the road in Atlanta, it's a tough start because the Falcons had one of the best run defenses in football last year. You could throw the ball in the Falcons, but starting the year on the road in Atlanta against that run defense, that's just really unlucky because that's one of the games we mentioned how the Steelers have a tougher schedule this year. That's one of the games, Atlanta, that's one of the games that you're going to want to win. And you get that game on the road, first game of the season. That's definitely not the best of luck for sure. Should we go ahead and bring up? Oh, but you know what? Don't bring up the schedule yet. Let's talk about the defense. And I don't see any reason why this defense isn't great. Again, I mean, they were obviously one of the better defenses in football last year. Let me pull up their defensive stuff. Where is it? Okay, here we go. Pittsburgh defense, 7th in EPA per play, 7th in success rate, 7th in DVOA. Top 10 pretty much across the board defending the pass. They're also a great road defense last year. They were vulnerable to the run at times, but honestly, were they vulnerable to the run, or was it because their entire linebacking core was injured? You had Blake Martinez selling Pokemon cards or whatever he was doing. Quan Alexander, veteran, they tried to fill in some spots. Landon Roberts was the third linebacker on the depth chart. He ended up being their main guy, and he got hurt as well. So now the Steelers come in with a healthy linebacking core with Patrick Queen added. So even though they did lose Blake Martinez, they added Patrick Queen, who was a beast for the Ravens last year. So even though if you look at the actual pieces that were there at the start of last season and then the pieces that are there this season, doesn't look like it's that much better, but you take into account the health and the injuries they dealt with in the linebacking core last year, this is a better unit. And secondary-wise, I mean, this is looking pretty good. Probably for any reason the Steelers' defense isn't top 10, maybe even top 5.
Maybe a reason they wouldn't be top 5 is secondary. In terms of like cornerback play, they did trade for Dante Jackson. That was the main piece they received back in the Deontay Johnson trade. Obviously, that they wanted to trade a bit of the offensive piece they had for that defensive piece. Their secondary was a bit lacking last season. I mean, Patrick Peterson, shell of himself. That was somebody they were trying to actually roll out there as a cornerback one. I mean, that's sorry. So they got Dante Jackson back. He's okay. I never thought he was that great. Joey Porter Jr. is going to continue to develop. I like him as a talent, but Cam Sutton is suspended for 8 games, so nickelback is a concern for me there. And besides Minkah Fitzpatrick, I don't really love that secondary. So secondary is a bit of concern for me there. But, I mean, overall, when you have a pass rush like the Steelers do, I mean, you're going to have a pretty damn good defense every year in and out. So, yeah, I mean, Steelers should be another top 10 defense another year, but as we're about to get to, this schedule is the main thing is the thing that keeps me low on the Steelers. I mean, I have a little bit of optimism for this offense. I do like the defense, but when we get back to this schedule, I mean, it is tough. And now I know a lot of you in the comments are like, where's the MLB? Where's the MLB? Guys, we're doing the NFL and the college football first. Little Andy, his Saturdays for the girlfriend. We're going to be getting to the MLB, people. Relax. Half an hour.
MLB has been at 11:30 every Saturday the entire season, so that hasn't changed. It's not like we switched the time up on you. MLB has started at 11:30 every single Saturday. So yeah, I mean, when you add Cam Sutton back, by the way, after 8 weeks, that Steelers secondary actually, in my opinion, looks pretty good. 3 corners that I think they could rely on. And something I didn't mention Last year, obviously, one of the linebackers that was injured, I mentioned their linebacking core was injured, Cole Holcomb. Apparently, they just got some bad news on him that he is not looking good. I'm reading almost definitely not going to be ready to start the season, and it's unsure if they're even going to keep him on the roster. Like, he might even get cut. So that would be a loss, but still, entering the season with the Landon Roberts and Patrick Queen healthy at inside linebacker is still significantly better than what they had last year with the injury. So Steelers defense is going to be good. Maybe a little bit vulnerable to the run, but with those two linebackers there, I don't think so, honestly. All right, let's pull up the schedule. You got the Steelers schedule up? All right. So, on the road in Atlanta, what a tough start. Here's what we should do for that. Let's say the Steelers are going to split one of those two road games. Atlanta at Denver. Let's give them one of them. I don't think they're going to start 2-0 two road games, especially with a new OC and a new quarterback. That's kind of crazy. So I think they'll get one of those games. So let's put them at 1 win heading into week 3. Home against the Chargers. Let's give them a win there, right? So that's 2 wins. After that, on the road in Indy, that's tough. See, what I'm willing to do is give them one of those 2 road games. On the road in Indy, on the road in Las Vegas. I'll give them 1. Okay, so that puts them at 2 wins. Home against Dallas, probably a loss. Okay, so that means we're at 2 wins heading into week 7. Home against the Jets. Yeah. They'll beat the Giants. I'll give them a 3rd win for the Giants. Home against the Jets is tough. And they'll beat the Commanders. So, all right, so let's give them a loss to the Jets. That puts them at 1, 2, 3, 4. Wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wins heading into week 11. Baltimore, and this is where it gets crazy. Prop Beaver, can you zoom in and show them the Steelers schedule from week 11 on? This is fucked up. This is like, yo, watch how the Steelers have to finish their season. This is crazy. This is the end of the Steelers season. So we're saying at this point they could be at 6, 7 wins, maybe. I mean, probably 6 is more, 5, 6 wins at this point. You're talking Baltimore, at Cleveland, at Cincinnati, Cleveland, at Philly, at Baltimore, Kansas City, Cincinnati. That is a gauntlet to finish your season. I mean, I guess it's good that they have those games at the end. Give Arthur Smith and Russell Wilson or Justin Fields, whoever's going to be quarterback, time to be playing their best football by the time they get into this. But that is crazy. So the Steelers better be 7-2 by the time they hit this point in the season. Basically, given the end of the year, I'm leaning towards under 8.5. Honestly, I mean, I guess with the price being at -160, so are the odds makers. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I almost have to, because just based off what the odds makers are doing too here. I mean, it's weird because I feel like I'm under on like almost half the division. I mean, look at what the odds makers were doing with the Browns price yesterday. I feel like I almost would have to take the under on the Browns too, just based off that price. I mean, the Browns won 11 games last year, and it was almost like charity night, I felt like, with the Browns over price, right? I mean, it felt like such a cheap price. I believe it was -130 for the Browns over 8.5 wins. I mean, what? And if Deshaun Watson is even half of what he used to be as a quarterback in this league, I mean, the Browns are just like sleepwalking over that total. And then this one right here, right? You've got Mike Tomlin, who's never had a losing season as a coach. I mean, he's never gone below 500. You're now getting this man who's done this 17 times in a row at +135. Just crazy to me. So I listen, as a true contrarian, I would have to take the under here. But it kills me a bit because I do, as a contrarian, as I just said, I do think that Arthur Smith, everybody hates that man. I feel like he could run a pretty decent offense this year. So yeah.
Look, this is a mistake a lot of people make in the off season, entering the season. Everyone's looks at the changes to rosters, and it's very easy to declare a team will get better, right? This team's going to get better. Look, they added this guy. This team's going to get better. Look, they added this guy. But the truth is, in order to put, let's say you want to put the Steelers at 9 wins, that means you got to choose a solid 8-9 teams in the AFC that are going to finish below them. And you're going to really struggle to find 8 teams in the AFC worse than the Steelers. You're going to really struggle. I mean, the AFC is a lot of good teams. They all can't win 9 games, guys. So, I mean, who are the Steelers going to be better than? The Dolphins? The Bills? The Jets? The Bengals? The Browns? The Ravens? I mean, you can make an argument the Steelers are the worst team in their division. You think the entire division is going to win 9 games? I mean, in the AFC South, they're probably better than not probably. They're better than the Titans. Definitely. Colts, I mean, that's a toss-up. The Colts beat the shit out of the Steelers last year, and they only got better. I mean, it's not like the Colts, I'm pretty sure they came into Pittsburgh. Oh, no, it might have been in Indy. But I remember I had the Colts in that game. They beat the shit out of the Steelers, and the Colts only got healthier. They only got better. So, okay, if you like the Steelers to win 9 games, show me the 8 AFC teams they're better than, because that's what you need. They're winning 9 games, they're finishing in the top half of the AFC. So you got to show me 8 AFC teams that they are better than, and good luck doing that. The Raiders, the Broncos, the Chargers, I'll probably give you those 3. Give you the Titans, that's 4. I'll give you the Patriots, that's 5. After that, we're drawing at straws here to find the teams that the Steelers will finish above. I think the Steelers would be the 6th team on that list as far as ranking the AFC teams from the bottom. So, I mean, let me look at the comments. Did anyone throw any suggestions out there? Colts are good, TWD. Exactly. The Colts beat the shit out of the Steelers last year, and you can make an argument they improved more than the Steelers did. Wilson comeback tour. I mean, from what I'm reading, what's his name? Justin Fields looks really good in camp. Andy just sent me an Instagram post about that. Apparently, he's throwing darts out there in camp. Justin Fields. All right. So, yeah, Steelers under 8.5 wins for me. I actually wouldn't be surprised if they land on 7. I think they clean under. So, yep. Let's talk college football. Prop Beaver. Well, actually, you're not leaving. You're going to stay right there. Yes, so... Yep.
Goodbye, folks. Have a wonderful day.
There. Yep. I think. Oh no, you muted your mic too. All right, cool. We're good. Can you mute your mic in the OBS Ninja too? Because I hear myself echoing. No, you're good. There we go. All right, so next up, we're talking college football. We're talking Appalachian State. True or false? Best team in the Sun Belt, Andy. Oh, wait, hold on. Let's get Andy on the screen. I'm asking you questions he can't even answer yet. There we go.
Yeah,
hold on. Put Andy's name on there, too.
I'm off the grid. I'm probably off the grid.
So before I get into it, true or false? Best team in the Sun Belt Conference right here.
Yes, honestly, I think they're the best team. They have the best returning player in the conference. They literally have the Sun Belt preseason player of the year on their team. So I don't know about you. When I looked through these 4 teams, 3 of them I felt pretty good about pretty quickly. And then the last team we're going to do, or the middle team we're going to do, I was very curious about. But now I feel really good about my stance on all 4 of these teams. I think the Sun Belt
I don't know what to think
clear.
about Georgia. I don't know what to think about Georgia Southern. But I like
they're the biggest toss-up of the 4, definitely.
All right, so Appalachian State, let's get into it. We got Sean Clark coming back for his 5th full season as head coach, and his tenure's been pretty good. I feel like it's overshadowed because he had such insanely big shoes to fill. I mean, keep in mind, Sean Clark took this job coming off Scott Satterfield and Eli Drinkowitz. Mm-hmm. That's who he followed. And in the 5 seasons before Sean Clark took this job, Appalachian State went 54-12 and won 5 straight bowl games. So, yeah, I mean, I guess if you look at his tenure over the last 4 seasons, you could be like, oh, Appalachian State's taken a step backwards. But they've been pretty good. He's done a fine job. It's just he had to follow Scott Satterfield and Eli Drinkowitz. It's tough. Those are big shoes to fill. In Sean Clark's tenure, they've made it to 3 bowl games in the 4 seasons he's been there. They've won 2 of them. So Sean Clark's solid in my book.
Yeah, I agree. He kind of took a program that was becoming kind of what we look at Liberty at this year, kind of like a top tier program where a few years ago, if there was a 12-team playoff, they probably would have been one of the teams considered every single year.
And he kind of definitely.
Yeah, and he definitely just kind of carried that off. They've played some sick games against Power Fives recently. They had like a 63-61 game against UNC a few years ago. Like, they are a team that no Power Five wants to play, and there is a Power Five team they're going to play this year. That's very difficult, and this is a program that's one of the best group of 5 for a reason. So,
all right, so let's get into it. They get Joey Aguilar back at quarterback, and that's who Andy was referring to as the preseason Sun Belt Conference Player of the Year, or the prediction of who's going to be. And it's kind of hard to argue with that. He was good as shit last year. And the thing about the Sun Belt Conference is quarterbacks. We're strictly talking quarterbacks here. It's extremely top heavy. There's actually 4 good quarterbacks in this conference, but then after that, so you got Aguilar here at Appalachian State, who probably might be the best. I mean, that kid at Texas State's also a beast. Yeah. Then you got Arkansas State he won True Freshman of the Year in the conference. So Arkansas State's bringing back a true sophomore at quarterback who should be good. And then you got Dylan Morris, the kid from Washington that was behind Penix last year. He's at James Madison. Who is the 5th best quarterback in this conference? Because it's like the kid from Coastal, Vasco.
Yeah, Vasco is probably the option there.
Yeah, so there's such a
takes a steep drop off.
Yeah, so you got 4 good quarterbacks, and not even like, oh, they're pretty good for the Sun Belt. Like, no, these should be 4 good Sun Belt quarterbacks. But then there's a drop off when you get to number 5. So right off the bat, Appalachian State, not only one of the best teams in the conference, but there are one of the 4 teams that has a quarterback, which you know is going to come in handy late in the season. So you got Joey Aguilar back at quarterback. Let's see. Here it gets even better than that. The top 4 wide receivers are back for Appalachian State. The top 4 wide receivers. So you're bringing back your quarterback, who's projected to be first team all conference, and all 4 of his top receivers. Great start for Appalachian State. I will say, I'm a little worried about the offensive line.
Yeah, definitely.
They lost 4 out of 5 starters on the offensive line, but they did bring in a kid named Thomas Schrader from Florida State. He was a 3-star recruit. He played in 16 games for Florida State, including 11 of them on last year's undefeated team. I don't think he started. I think he played. But this is a 3-star recruit from Florida State. So they did lose 4 starters, but they brought in a kid that is probably better than any of the starters they lost last year. So they did bring in a really nice piece on the offensive line, but as a whole, the offensive line is decimated. So that's going to be a question. Can they keep Aguilar protected? That's going to be the question on the offensive side of the ball. On the defensive side, I mean, that kid, Nate Johnson, is a monster. 7.5 sacks last year as a true freshman. He's 6'5". I mean, this is potentially an NFL kid on the edge, rushing for Appalachian State. 7.5 sacks as a true freshman. So he's going to be one of the better players. In fact, I think Phil Steele wrote potentially best defensive player in the conference.
Yeah, he'll do that. He'll throw his like little notes. I think he did that for Schrader too, or somebody did that for Schrader, the O-lineman that they got. He's gonna probably be predicted as one of the best O-linemen in the Sun Belt. So like, they added the players that they added along with that group that's coming back on offense. Like, I love it. I thought they did. I think their offense is gonna be exactly what it's been every other year. They're gonna be really good. They have the best. I think probably the second best quarterback in the conference. So yeah, they're going to be good there.
So Appalachian State, all thumbs up all across the board for me, except there's one thing. I'm a little worried about the secondary. They lost their top 2 defensive backs. And the reason that now normally top 2 defensive backs, whatever, but I don't like how the secondary is the weakest part of this team, or at least is looking like it's going to be the weakest part of this team, because we just talked about how this conference is quarterback top heavy, which means late in the season in the conference championship game, potentially they're most likely going to have to beat one of these teams that has a quarterback, and having the secondary as their weakness is definitely not what you want. So I don't like that. But let's go ahead and bring up the schedule for App State.
Yeah, I think this team will probably have like a role reversal. You look at their numbers, and their run defense was really bad last year. Their pass defense is really good. I think it could be the complete opposite. I think Farmer coming in from Syracuse, he was a power 4 player, so obviously he's a good pickup, but they didn't really do outside of that. A low-graded corner came in, so like they didn't do a ton at adding on defense. But if the roles reversed, I wouldn't be surprised, which, like you said, it probably won't hurt them in some of their other games, but in terms of winning this conference, that could be the death of their secondary.
Yeah, because when I first looked at it, I was like, oh, I might bet Appalachian State to win the conference at plus 275, but it's going to be tough because they're going to have to play most likely Texas State or it's someone with a quarterback in that conference championship game. So let's go ahead and pull up the schedule. And obviously we're starting off with a win with East Tennessee State. At Clemson, loss. At ECU is tough. That team always is tough to beat on the road. Obviously, we know Appalachian State is the far superior team. ECU plays tough at home, but I think I'll give them a win there.
Yeah, they should win that one.
But ECU at home is no joke. I mean, they almost beat NC State at home. This is a good home team.
Yeah, and they're bringing their quarterback back. So ECU will be kind of an average team, but I would still probably take App State in that one.
So let's give them a win. That's 2 wins. South Alabama, I haven't looked at them yet.
They should win that one. They should
All
beat
right,
South.
3. Liberty's a loss.
Yeah, I told you the other day that I do think it'll be tough for Liberty, but I'd still give Liberty the game.
Yep.
Especially being in
that's
App State.
3. At Marshall, win.
Yeah.
At Louisiana, I know some people are probably counting that as a loss. I think they can win that game.
Yeah, they're a team with the same coaching staff, a veteran quarterback. I don't think road atmospheres, except for Clemson, are really going to affect this team too much.
Yeah. So that puts us at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wins. Home versus Georgia State win.
Yeah, they're going to win that one.
6. Home versus Old Dominion win. That's 7.
I think they lose to Coastal.
Dude, no, they don't.
I think they lose to Coastal. I would yell toss up there on that one. That's
all
a
right. How about
midweek
this?
game as well.
They'll drop at Coastal or at Louisiana. They'll drop one of
those two. I would give them a loss on.
Home James Madison. I think they win.
Yeah, James Madison's going to take a pretty steep step back this year.
That puts us at 8, and then
I think
Georgia
they win
Southern
9.
puts us at 9.
Yeah.
Over 8, baby. Over 8. Is this at 8.5 now, Andy?
It was whenever I made these like 3 days ago, so it might have gone down.
Oh, okay, yeah. I thought
I've been doing I did a whole chunk on Thursday. So.
Yeah, I like them to finish at 9 with a potentially 10 because I think they could win. Yeah. I think they could beat Coastal and win both of those road games that we talked about. So I think they land on 10, 9 or 10. So over 8.5. Next. See, this is one where I don't really know if we can take your opinion seriously. Andy's very biased when it comes to Georgia.
That's not.
And if you don't know what I'm talking about, we're talking about a whole new era in Georgia State football. Head coach Sean Elliott is gone. Del McGee takes over, and he's a Georgia guy. He's a Bulldog. He was a running back coach under Kirby Smart last year. Now, I did notice that Georgia State's offensive coordinator, crazy experienced. I mean, his tenures, he was in the NFL, the SEC, ACC, Mountain West. I mean, this dude has 20 years serious coaching experience. So they bring in a very experienced offensive coordinator. Also, the defensive coordinator he brought in is pretty experienced as well. So even though Del McGee himself, almost no experience as a head coach.
One game.
One game
of experience.
He did bring in a couple very experienced coordinators. So, I mean, I don't necessarily hate that. But, Andy, I don't know how you don't hate the turnover on this roster.
No, I'm not high on this team at all.
Oh, I thought you were, big on this team because it's a Georgia guy.
I would never do that.
Granger's gone. He's been the quarterback there what feels like forever. 3 years? Or 2 years?
Yeah, their quarterback situation sucks.
Yeah, Granger's gone. The kid they're bringing in is Zach Gibson. Don't know much about him. He does have some experience at Georgia Tech and I think Akron. Don't know much about him. So the brand new quarterback here named Zach Gibson. They lost both of their top backs. They did add a couple backs in the portal, one from Coastal Carolina, one from Tulsa. So I think in theory they may have replaced the backs that they lost. But the point is, they're new. And I don't know if new is necessarily great when you're talking about new head coach, new offensive coordinator, new quarterback, 2 new running backs. I mean, there's just way too much new here. They lost 2 of their 3 top receivers, 4 starters on the offensive line. I mean, good Lord, Georgia State. That offense is completely different. It's complete. There's no way. I mean, especially early in the season, there's no way I could count on this team to go out there and look fluid offensively. Even with an experienced offensive coordinator. Everything's new. Everything is new here. Now, from what I'm reading, their defensive line should be solid. They did lose a few pieces, but they bring back 5 of their top 8 defensive linemen. Also, didn't they bring in Bishop Thomas, the Dion kid, the Coach Prime kid?
Yes, I thought their defense. It was surprising because they hired a running back coach, but I felt like they added to their defense so well. Their defense is significantly better than their offense is going to be. If this team's going to win games this year, it's going to be because of the defense. Their top ad was the corner. Their pass defense was awful last year. They really shored that up. I think their defense is actually going to be somewhat solid.
So it said next time do this future shit at the end like always. The baseball's at 11:30 every single Saturday. Bunch of freaking watch a different show. DMP, what a fucking clown. It's at the same show every same time every day.
I knew it was coming. I was gonna say when I came on. I knew there was
motherfuckers don't own a clock.
I knew it was coming.
Oh my god.
You can't change anything up or people are gonna get mad. It's
dummies, man. All right. So, the defense they did add to. They brought in some transfers. Bishop Thomas, if you don't know who that is, that's one of the guys Coach Prime poached from Florida State. He had off-the-field problems, though, so he didn't even really play much at Colorado. Georgia State got him. He's on the defensive line. Secondary should be okay. So maybe the defense is somewhat okay. Yeah. But I don't trust this offense, and we can pull up their schedule, but especially early, it doesn't hurt. It doesn't help that some of their winnable games are early, too. Like, you got home against Georgia Southern, home against Old Dominion. These are games that you would think Georgia State wins, and maybe they might win, but the fact that this team is so new, I wouldn't be surprised if they dropped one of those games.
I think I said it yesterday. I don't remember what team it was, but I think that this is a team that'll get better as the season goes on. But like you said, their easier games are when they're going to be so inexperienced as a coaching staff and as a team that they might drop a game early and also steal a game late. It's kind of how I feel about this team.
Well, what game are they going to steal late?
Well, hold on, I got to pull it up and pull up their schedule. But it doesn't even necessarily have to be a game. You're like, oh, they could steal that game. It could be anybody they're playing. I don't remember the game that it was. I think it might have been Arkansas State.
Bro, the second half of their schedule, ready for this? They have a bunch of home games early. Chattanooga, they'll win. I think they lose to Vandy. I think they lose to Georgia Southern. Maybe they beat Old Dominion, but honestly, I mean,
Old Dominion is a team they lost to last year. I don't.
Yeah, so maybe they give them that one. That's two. But then after that, at Marshall, they probably lose. At App State, loss. At
UConn, it was UConn. I said, would you be surprised if they went into UConn and won that game? I think UConn's gonna be bad, and by that week, by November, this team should be kind of what we expect them to be, like a decent team that loses games. I think they could go in and steal this one.
Okay, even if you get UConn, you're still not getting to 5 wins.
Oh no, I have their under. Under 4. Team is they're improved. I wrote they're improved, but they're still gonna be bad. Like they're still gonna the just because he's from Georgia doesn't mean I don't like Syracuse this year. That they hired a Georgia guy too. They took the wrong Georgia guys. They're taking guys that have no coaching experience, head coaching or coordinating experience. So that does scare me.
All right, so me and Andy both on the under there. We only have 2 minutes left for college football, but so I don't know much about Georgia Southern, so let's table that one for a different one. Let's run through Marshall real quick.
Yeah.
So Marshall,
the best about.
This is the one you want to talk about?
I think this is I feel the best about this one, and it was weird because the other day when I looked at him, wow, Toast comes in yawning. The best I felt because the other day I looked at him, I was like, I really don't know how to feel about him, but now. Ranked 10th in the preseason after going 6-7 means that there's not any expectations here. But they lost a lot. But they brought in, if you look at their additions, it is crazy how many players they brought in. And pretty good players, too. They brought in 10 players that are 60 grade or higher. 4 of those are receivers. 2 are D tackles, and 2 are O-linemen. So they're spreading out what they brought in. They needed a lot, but they brought in a lot. So I think that'll help them a ton. The defense was pretty good last year. I think they'll be fine. They need to progress on offense. I think that bringing in 4 receivers helps that. It doesn't really matter who's playing quarterback. You have 4 new guys as receivers. They're going to get their yards. So I think this team progressed so much that I feel really good about them getting their over this year.
I don't know if I agree with that. Quarterback's gone. Cole Pennington is most likely the starter. He had no touchdowns. Chad's son.
Damn right. He's got quarterback in his blood, dude.
He had 0 touchdowns, 6 interceptions as a freshman last year.
That's fine.
Their running back, Ali's on the Ravens now. They brought in a kid from NC State who actually got benched. He led the team in rushing in 2022, got benched last year. Like Andy said, they brought in a bunch of wide receivers, but they lost 3 starters on the offensive line, have a new quarterback who's unproven.
The quarterback is the biggest hole to me because I think the running back from NC State will get somewhat back into form.
I don't like this Marshall team. I do think they beat Georgia State on October 17th. They beat Stony Brook. That's 2.
They're getting Gasso.
I don't think
they should
so.
beat Old Dominion. ULM should be a win, and then you're kind of just. And I think they could beat
This is
Western.
under.
Yeah, they're gonna have to steal a game to hit their over, but I think they will because I think by the end of the season this team's gonna be clicking. So I've got them winning 6 again. So over.
All right, so let's go ahead. Oh yeah, this one's at 5.5. Yeah. There we go.
Yeah, I have them win 6 games.
All right, I have them win 4-5, so I like the under here. Andy likes the over. But all right, let's talk some MLB baseball.
Enjoy your baseball, boys.
Andy, talk to you later. Enjoy your weekend. Starting at 11:30, the same time as every other Saturday. What, nailing it at 11:30? I know. It's not my first time. For those that didn't hear it, Toast said that's a hell of a job you just did there. Yeah, I pinned it on 11:30 exactly.
Unfortunately, my worst nightmare happened. What did I tell you on the phone last night? I wasn't going to bet anything because I was going to lose. I keep on losing value on favorites. What happens? All 3 favorites I bet went down. Brewers are at Brewers and Mariners.
All right. First up, team that's dead to me. Yankees.
Oh.
I had the Yankees yesterday. I laid the 1.5, took the money line at -162. Thought it was a great bet. Now it turns out that was my only loss. I had a push on Washington first 5, but other than that, I won every other one of my bets. So I had a winning day, but did not win the Yankees here. When I look at this game, Berrios on the road in Yankee Stadium, obviously I lean Yankees, but -196. Toronto scoring runs right now. I don't even know what I think of Rodon, but I want to bet is Yankees -1.5. What I'm not going to do it, especially after yesterday, but I still think Yankees would be the play. It's not like yesterday, so you would think the change from Gausman to Berrios is a downgrade, especially on the road where Gausman's been good. It would only be Yankees -1.5 or pass for me here.
It'd be the same for me as well. I really liked Toronto yesterday. Again, I think it's a little bit different situation here today with Rodon, who, I know I've talked a lot about him and how bad he has been, but over his last 3 starts, he's really started to turn it around. 17 strikeouts in his last 13 innings, only 3 runs against Boston and Tampa Bay. He had a so-so start against Baltimore, but he's one of those guys that I do tend to trust in at times like this when he starts to get into good form. But he's faced Toronto twice this year. He had 1 decent one really, really bad one. I just don't know. I just don't want to put too much trust into this Toronto team. Like I would really like to play their team total over 3.5, but I can really see Carlos Rodon coming out here today and throwing 7 strong innings or 6.5 strong innings or something like that. And then again, they didn't use Weaver, Leiter Jr., guys like that yesterday either. So I feel like the Yankees have pretty much a big advantage in this bullpen as well, because considering Toronto used all their top 4 arms yesterday. So the Yankees have advantages everywhere. I don't feel like it's I was on Toronto yesterday. I don't feel like it's nearly the spot like it was for Toronto like it was yesterday. So the only way I would look at it is Yankees -1.5.
Yeah, not betting it though. Let's go to the next one. Cardinals, Cubs. I want to get to the Cards here. Kyle Gibson as a whole. Well, Kyle Gibson on the road's been pretty solid, but that trend, I don't want to say it's dead because it's not like he's been bad on the road. But if you rewind like a month and a half ago, he was awesome on the road.
Yep.
I wouldn't necessarily define it as awesome anymore. He's just been okay on the road, and he struggles against lefties. Cubs aren't loaded with lefties. I think they have 4 lefties projected to be in the lineup for this one. I want to go Cardinals. That's what I want to do. Haven't bet it yet. I don't think I could actually get there, but I feel like Cardinals would be the bet here, especially considering that the Cubs took the first 2 of the series, right? Mm-hmm. I want to go Cards.
Yep, Cards are going to be on my list today. Plus, that's the last bet I was looking at while Andy was talking. At Cardinals plus 100 on Caesars. Not only to the fact that I think that we do have a little bit of a starting pitching advantage with the Cardinals. I understand that Jamison Tyone has been pretty decent, but at the same time, Kyle Gibson on the road, his last 4 starts on the road, 6 2/3, 3 hits, 1 run in Atlanta. Washington and Pittsburgh, he went 5 innings, gave up 3 and 4 runs. It wasn't spectacular, but again, a start here in Wrigley on 6-14, he went 7 innings and only gave up 2 runs. I'm not in a spot where I trust this Cubs offense. I understand that they've scored a couple runs, but even yesterday, they scored 5 runs in the second inning, and I don't think they scored. Maybe they scored 1 other run the rest of the day. So I've talked about this before. I'm glad for the teams like the Cubs that can score runs at times, but if you're not scoring runs in multiple innings and you're having like one giant inning every once in a while, it's really hard for me to trust you as far as offensively is concerned. So not to mention the fact that when you flip it over to the bullpens, St. Louis is going to have everybody that they want rested and available to go. Not to mention the fact that you have Ryan Helsley, who just blew a save for them. So I'm sure he's going to want to get back out there after having a day off. And then as far as the Cubs bullpen is concerned, Neris went yesterday. Tyson Miller, who's been pretty damn good for them, went 2 of the last 3 days. Drew Smiley, 2 of the last 3 days. Julian Merriweather went 34 pitches. And when you take out Mark Leiter, who's now playing for the Yankees, that bullpen's a little bit short. So I don't think the Cardinals get swept. I don't bet like that. I mean, regardless of what happened the first 2 games, but I truly believe that the Cardinals are the right side here today.
And I think the Cardinals offense might be a little bit undervalued right now. I mean, in the last 30 days, this team's 11th in WRC plus, 12th in OPS. Last 30 days against right-handed pitching, 10th in WRC plus, 12th in OPS. Last 30 days on the road, 12th in WRC plus, 13 on OPS. So in every single split, this Cardinals lineup is the top half offense. And if you look at yesterday, maybe at a first glance, you're like, oh, they couldn't get to Javier Assad. He only went 4 innings into the game. They had 7 base runners on him. Yeah, they only got 1 run across, but by no means was Javier Assad blanking this team. He had 7 base runners in 4 innings. It's almost a 2 whip. It's a 175 whip. It's not good. It's terrible. So, yeah, I think the Cards, this might be a little bit of a buy. I might be talking myself into a Cards bet here.
Honestly, and I'm not even trying to downplay what happened with the Cubs yesterday, but again, the Cubs had 2 balls that hit and caught air, and they went out of the stadium. And besides that, they didn't do anything else the rest of the day. So if those tables are turned and maybe just one of those balls goes out and one of those balls goes out for St. Louis, it's a different ball game. So St. Louis plus 100 for me at Caesars.
I think I might end up adding that. I just wrote it down. Let's go to the next game, please, Prop Beaver. Next game, Milwaukee, Washington. I lost value here. I took the Brewers money line at minus 130. I think you can get minus 120 now.
Yep.
So market's against me on this one. Aaron Savali's pitching against G.J. Hers, and I like the way. All right, hold on. So I was just talking yesterday when I took Washington first 5 money line, which ended up pushing. I was talking about how this Brewers lineup is a fade, right? How they've been cold recently. But I was referring to them against right-handed pitching. Their numbers against lefties actually look pretty good. In the last 30 days, they're actually the second best lineup in baseball against lefties, second at WRC plus, second at OPS. Look at the recent lefty starters they've seen. 9 base runners and 2 earned runs off Chris Sale. Before that, they got to Trevor Rogers a little bit, got to Justin Steele, crushed Mitchell Parker, crushed Martin Perez. So if you look at the last 5 lefty starters they've seen, they've gotten to 4 of them, and there's some good names in there. They got to Chris Sale. They got to Justin Steele. I trust this Brewers lineup against left-handed pitching right now, and DJ Hers, nowhere close to a guy I trust. I mean, not that I think he's necessarily terrible. He's okay. I mean, he's showing some promise, but I expect the Brewers to hit him up. I think we can count on the Brewers to score runs in this one. And then on the other side, look, Savale, not a guy I particularly have a ton of faith in. But this Nationals lineup, the only reason I was down to trust them yesterday was because Frankie Montas was on the mound making his first start in a new uniform. He struggles against lefty bats. That's not really the case here. Aaron Savale, his lefty-righty splits are pretty close. So, yeah, I expect the Brewers to be the side here. But like I said, the market's against me. It dropped to minus 120. So maybe I'm on the super square side on this one, but still think I'm on the right side with Milwaukee.
I don't understand the line movement, and I don't really care either. I was on the Braves in that Chris Sale start, and I felt very, very lucky. The Braves ended up winning that game. Ended up winning that game late. And Milwaukee looked really good. And one base hit at any certain time in that game, they could have broke that game open. And not to mention the fact that when you get to the bullpens, first of all, with Hurts, he has been pitching pretty well, but at most he's going to go 5 innings today. And that's an issue for me because of how bad we know that Washington bullpen has been since trading everybody away. Not only did they trade everybody away, but they're going to be available today. But Robert Garcia, who's their setup management 2 of the last 3 days. And then besides him, you have the 2 guys at the top with Law and Finnegan. But as far as middle relievers, long relievers, setup guys, the Brewers saw everybody yesterday. So there's no really advantages at the late in this game. There's no advantages at the beginning of this game. So unless the Brewers just come out here super flat today, I don't know. But again, the Washington Nationals are 2-8 their last 10, 7-13 their last 20. They are not playing good baseball right now. Milwaukee's in the middle of at least a pennant race at least. So again, I don't love Aaron Savali. But at the same time, I think there's a huge pitching advantage in the starting pitching, and I think there's even a bigger advantage in the bullpens, considering that Devin Williams is back for Milwaukee. So, I don't care about the line movement. I'm on Milwaukee.
Someone said both these teams suck next game. The Brewers have 62 wins. They're the 3rd best team in the NL.
I mean, yeah.
They're in first place. Next up, Royals, Tigers. Toast. I want to bet the Tigers.
Don't do it.
Toast says don't do it.
I mean, I'm not betting the Royals. I mean, I guess so. I'm not in a spot where I'm gonna I wouldn't argue with you, but why do you want to bet the Tigers so bad? Because it's such a sketchy line.
No, I think the line's perfect. Michael Lorenzen on the road is offensive. His last 6 road starts, he's got an ERA over 6. His last 3 road starts, he's got an ERA over 9. He's been so bad on the road. He got sparked by the Blue Jays, couldn't even get out of the first inning. Before that, got sparked by the Angels. The Angels hit this guy up. Michael Lorenzen on the road is rock bottom. If you're betting Michael Lorenzen on the road, it's time to make a couple phone calls. He also, what is Michael Lorenzen good at? He's good at getting outs against lefty bats. Tigers are going to have loaded up with righties. I think, 6 righties projected to be in the lineup today, Toast? 6? I know they're not good. So I understand that they're not good. 6 righties in that lineup, right, Toast?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
8 righties in the lineup.
7. There's 7. I forgot.
7 righties in the lineup. Check this out. Michael Lorenzen against lefties, 255 WOBA, 107 WHIP. Very respectable numbers against lefties. Proppy Rez is even on record calling him a god against lefties. Against righties, 372 WOBA, 148 WHIP. Detroit loaded with righties today. Tell me I'm not the sharpest guy in the world right now with Detroit. I didn't bet this yet. I want to.
I mean,
he's like,
I'm not. It's not crazy. I think Detroit team total over 3.5 and pay a little juice is a little bit better for me personally. But there's no way I get to the Royals after what happened yesterday. I know it was an easy winner, but
the Royals yesterday. It was nice.
I know. They're just really, really hot right now. The Royals are. I mean, they've been scoring runs like crazy, and I understand that they're playing bad teams, but Detroit is also a bad team as well. You haven't also explained how you're going to get around Bo Brisk, so I would curious to see how you feel about that.
Is it Bo Brisk? I thought it was Kenta.
Okay, even if it was Kenta.
All right, what about an over 8.5?
I would, yeah. I mean, there's no way I get to Kansas City. So I mean, yeah. I also will say that Michael Lorenzen, he has had a few decent starts on the road this year. So
Proppy, switch me to an over. What do we think about an over here, guys? Because I think what I said about Lorenzen on the road and against a bunch of righties, I think that's valid. I think it could be a buy low spot on the Tigers to score some runs. But I also am not crazy and do understand that we're talking about Kenta Maeda or Bo Brisk pitching against a Royals lineup that has been scoring even on the road. So what about an over here, guys?
It is Kenta Maeda, it looks like.
I think it's Kenta.
So
But can I get a heat barometric run index?
Yeah, actually you can. Hold on 1 second. Get it up in there. Today is 3rd. America Park. Decent. Ooh, we got the green P. We got some pressure. Good pressure.
Good.
Let me see. Oh, yeah. High humidity, above 75%. That's good for carry. Ball could be flying out here at Comerica.
Over. Let's do it.
Oh, my God. 85 wind, 85 degrees with the wind blowing out. That's an over-better's dream.
I'm doing it right now. All I needed to hear was a positive run heat index, and I was in. All right. So, Tigers, Royals, over 8.5. Oh, you still get an 8.5 on ESPN bet. Everywhere else is 9. Grabbing it now before it's gone.
Dude, touche.
Race against the clock before that 8.5's gone.
Do not drop this number.
It was 8.5 last night. They're all 9s now. I'm in. Let me just share it to the Discord. I'll move on to the next game.
Also, another solid thing is that Kansas City they're not going to have Lucas Eckridge, who's their new arm tonight, because he's went 2 of the last 3 nights. I got to assume they're going to save him. Yeah.
All right, so
multiple guys yesterday too.
We've moved on to Arizona, Pittsburgh, and I'm actually on. I already bet this one. I'm already on this over. I was on the over from last night. I got it at 8.5. I'm pretty comfortable on this one. The market hasn't really moved. I think I might have got 5 cents of CLV. Nothing really. Not worried about it. I think this is the move here. Jordan, hold on. Let me get the matchup up here. I know Mitch Keller has been really good at home in Pittsburgh. I get that. He's pitching against Arizona, and I don't think there's a lineup I trust more against righty bats right now than Arizona. I swear. Well, actually, maybe Boston. But Arizona's been getting to righties consistently for a while now. They just saw Mitch Keller. What, 5 days ago? 6 days ago? They just saw him.
What they did to my boy Louis Ortiz yesterday, I still haven't recovered. I didn't even bet the game, and I felt bad for him. So
yeah,
that was ridiculous.
I think the only reason they're giving us 8.5 here is because it's Mitch Keller at home, but they just saw Mitch Keller. So I like Arizona to get to him today. And then on the other side, it's Montgomery. And I know Montgomery has stringed himself together a couple decent road starts in a row at Kansas City, at Philly. I know that, but this is not a guy I trust. I mean, this guy just got crushed by Washington, got crushed by the Twins a few starts back. Pirates have been sneakily a good lineup against lefties. In fact, in the last 30 days, this is a top 10 lineup against lefties. They got to Framber, Liberator, got to Christopher Sanchez. I trust the Pirates lineup against lefties a little bit. So, not to mention, neither of these bullpens are good.
Neither bullpens are good. And really quickly, too, Jordan Montgomery splits versus left-handed bats dominant. 270 WOBA, 115 whip, 327 FIP. That's all really good. Versus righty bats, 400 WOBA, 181 whip, 0.509 xFIP. Let me check. How many lefties are in that Pittsburgh lineup? O'Neal Cruz, and that's it. Everybody else is going to be batting from the right-handed side of the plate. So you're going to have 9 or 8 righty bats essentially in that Pittsburgh lineup today against Jordan Montgomery. So, yeah, I was thinking personally Pirates team total over, but I'm probably going to join you in that over myself.
Cool. Over up.
And Monty's, yeah, he's terrible, or has been at least.
Boston, Texas. Shout out Dirty Water. Shout out Boston. Shout out Tom Brady. Shout out Mark Wahlberg. Here we are, Boston, Texas again. And I think I may have jumped the gun a little bit on this one last night. All right. So last night, this line was open only on FanDuel. The other sportsbooks didn't even have it open yet, and the reason for that was it was unsure who was going to be pitching for the Rangers, because I mean John Gray is on the IL right now. Max Scherzer's even on the 15-day, even though I'm pretty sure he's scheduled to take his schedule start on Monday. But the Rangers' starting pitching depth is in question right now with a couple injuries. So it was unsure who was going to pitch for the Rangers. So what I did was I grabbed Boston at the minus 120, thinking, I mean, hey, I don't care who it is. I like Boston at this price. I didn't really expect them to throw a lefty in there. Cody Bradford's going to get the start. Looks like for the Rangers, right? It is Cody Bradford. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't love that. I'm on Boston prop beaver. I bet it. I probably was a little impatient with this last night. I still think it's the right side. I still think I'm still confident that I'm on the right side. I don't know if I necessarily would have jumped on Boston last night at -120 had I known it was going to be a lefty, though. I kind of was just like, hey, it's not Eovaldi, we're good, and like placed it, and now that like I lost value on it. You could actually get to set a pick 'em right now. Look, I got in my opinion the better team at -120, but the market's against me here. Like I said, you can get a pick 'em right now, so I'm on Boston.
Yeah, I don't understand the line. I mean, even if you take a look at like who the Boston's record versus lefties and stuff, not as good. But I mean, even against Paxton and Gomber and Block and stuff, they're scoring runs. So it's just really hard for me to think that Texas sending Cody Bradford out there, and we talked about this last night, is going to change like really that much. I mean, this is essentially a bullpen day for the Rangers. I mean, because as Kyle and I talked about last night on the phone, like they don't have any starters right now, especially with guys on the IL right now. Nate Eovaldi is essentially the only good starter that they have that's even somewhat healthy right now. So let's just play this out really quickly. So you have Cody Bradford in there, who at best is probably going to give you, I don't know, 3-4 innings if he can keep his pitch count super low. Dane Dunning, I understand, who's started in the past, he's went 2 of the last 3 days. Jacob Latz has went 2 of the last 3 days. Andrew Chafin went 24 pitches yesterday as well. So you're going to look at Cody Bradford, and then you're looking at Gerson Garbato, Walter Pennington, Josh Schwarbs, Leclerc. I understand that he looked good in October last year, but he has a over 4 ERA. My point to all this being is that no matter how I try to figure out how Texas is going to piece this game together, and I know I'm not Bruce Bochy, but I don't understand how they have an advantage here against this Boston team that I will give you that Tanner Houck hasn't looked good on the road, and he hasn't looked good overly good in his last 7 starts. But he had 2 decent road starts in Toronto and the New York Yankees, and then he had a bad road start in Colorado. What do I always say? If you have a bad road start in Colorado, it's really easy for me just to throw that out the window. Like, I can really get over that really fast, especially if everything else isn't really terrible. And then again, you flip it over to the Boston bullpen. They have everybody rested and available, ready to go. So again, I just don't understand, unless Tanner Houck just comes out there and gets throttled by this Texas team that's been having trouble to score runs essentially all year long, that's still not playing 500 baseball. So be it. But I honestly feel like Boston has the advantage in all 3 phases of this game. So yeah, I'm going to be on Boston as well.
Yeah, and someone said in the comments that I should have waited. Yeah, my thinking was this. It was at -120 last night, and I thought, hey, I'll grab it. If it ends up being Eovaldi jumps up a day, I'll lose some value. But if they ended up bringing up a AAA arm to start and it's a righty, I would have had like 30 cents of closing line value. So I took the risk thinking like, hey, yeah, if they brought up a AAA righty arm, this would have been -150. So like I took a risk. It didn't work out. I lost 10 cents of value, but I thought that there was a lot of upside in what I did.
I think,
too.
Yeah, I think that it was a safe bet. I mean, just so you guys all know, this was about 3:30 in the morning Eastern time, Kyle, and I'm on the phone in the Dallas Morning News trying to find what I can find.
Yeah, that's exactly how it went down, and I was like, I'm doing it.
So it was, yeah.
All right, next game. So we got White Sox Twins, and man, I wish I jumped on it yesterday. Last night we said like Twins were at -168, and I was saying to everyone in the Discord, I was like, guys, they keep overpricing Crochet. This dude is good, but the White Sox don't win when he pitches. They're 0-6 in his last 6 starts, and last night you could have got the Twins -1.5 at +135. Mad I didn't bet it. I said it like 3 or 4 times last night. Didn't take advantage of it any time. I said it to Toast on the phone. I said it in the Discord. I said it in the Discord voice chat that was going on. I was talking about it all over. Didn't even bet it. So that price is kind of gone. It would still be Twins -1.5 at the current number, but I won't touch it now. What I should have done was grab Twins -1.5 last night at that +135, but I didn't. So it'll just be a pass. You can put Twins -1.5 if you want, prop beaver, but it's a pass.
Yeah, it'd be, I guess, over or pass for me at 7.5. I have no interest betting on Bailey Ober at this price, especially him coming off of an 8-inning performance against Detroit where he had 11 strikeouts. He looked fantastic. But again, just not a guy I trust. He's been really good this year. This isn't like me, like, oh, he's been terrible. I think he could get hit up. But this is going to be like the third time the White Sox are seeing him. Again, Crochet hasn't been very good, and he hasn't been going deep into games. So I don't think there's any question that the Twins win this game. But it's just not. It's just I don't want to get involved. I don't want to deal with it.
All right.
Sooner or later, the White Sox are going to win a game, and if there is one team to screw it up, it would be the Twins.
All right, Toast. You would have got a few cents here if you placed the. Did you pull the trigger on this last night?
No.
You should have, man. I thought it was a good. Thought it was a good angle. I'll let you take the mic on this one. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Toast likes the Giants, and he almost took it last night at plus 120. Not that he.
This morning, so.
You did? You took it at the plus 115?
Yeah.
I mean, I like it too. It would only be Giants here, so you could put Giants up for both of us. It sounds like Toast actually bet it though. I didn't. But we both like the Giants.
Yeah. So for me, it's kind of simple for me. I don't. First and foremost, I don't like Hunter Green or at home. And I think that we're getting a huge discount on the Giants with Hunter Green and how good he has looked. Yes, he has looked very good over his last 7 starts. Against who? On the road against Tampa Bay, on the road against Atlanta, 2 teams that we know can't hit right-handed pitching. And I get that the Giants aren't a right-handed killing team. But my point is that his Hunter Green's home starts, Colorado, Detroit, Pittsburgh, all these teams that can't hit right-handed pitching, that can't hit.
Pittsburgh did hit him.
I'm sorry. Yes, they did. But all those teams that can't hit right-handed pitching, I don't really worry about what Hunter Green brings to the table as far as the Reds are concerned. My worry is Kyle Harrison. And honestly, I've never been a really big Kyle Harrison guy. But over his last 7 starts, he's really starting to show me something. He was decent, or I guess mediocre at best, against Arizona and Philly. You could even say bad. 12 hits is pretty bad. But since then, at home against Houston, on the road against Cleveland, he gave up 4 runs. But at home against Minnesota, on the road in Colorado, and then Colorado again. I honestly feel like after those last 2 starts against Colorado, he might have found something. He's faced this Reds team twice in the last 2 years. He's had 11 innings, had 16 strikeouts, only given up 3 runs. I trust Kyle Harrison to pitch well here today. I just feel like this is a very, very cheap number on a Giants team that I think is going to be very good. Because when you go over to the bullpen, we've talked about how bad this bullpen has been. I actually think that this might be a little bit of a strength for this team come the end of the year, because now you have Jordan Hicks in there, and I understand that it's only one arm, but now that you don't have to worry about him closing and you bring him in as a middle reliever, like, I honestly like the fact that you can get that Halehi guy, or whatever, however you were saying his last name, Milner and Hicks, and then the Rogers brothers. Like, I actually kind of like that Giants bullpen with him in there. So I actually don't grade the Giants bullpen down as much as I have in the past. And that Cincy bullpen's rested and ready to go, but I don't really trust any of those guys in the first place. I just feel like we're getting a huge discount because Hunter Green's on the mound and everybody likes Hunter Green, but I don't like Hunter Green at home. And I think the Giants team's playing a lot better than people are giving them credit for. 7-3 their last 10. We're getting plus money against the team that, again, they scored nothing yesterday. I just feel like this game should be at least a pick 'em. So to get plus 115, I just can't pass it up.
And also, this Reds lineup does not scare me in the slightest against left-handed pitching. And I mean, I know that they did get to Justin Steele, but we saw what Blake Snell did to him last night. But even before that, Patrick Corbin a week and a half ago, 6 innings, just 3 base runners, 1 run. Corbin blanked this team. They also struggled to get to, they got to Gomber, actually. Kyle Freeland almost went 7 on this team. I don't trust the Reds against lefties, so it would only be Giants, but I didn't bet this one. This is Giants or pass for me. So let's go to the next one. Baltimore, Cleveland. You would have got some value here, too. Are the O's a fade? Like, I almost bet the Orioles yesterday. Thank God I didn't. Did you? Yo, it's right. You had Cleveland. That was a nice hit. Cleveland was sharp as fuck last night. That was a nice hit. You going back to the well?
I missed the boat. I can't take it. Is it plus money at all?
Like plus 105, I think. It's plus 100 now. Toast was talking about taking this at plus 120 last night. Or plus 115, I think it was.
Something like that. Yeah. Irritating to say the least. You could have got a plus 117 last night. God damn.
That would have been a nice ticket to be holding right now.
Yeah, I just don't understand the infatuation with Baltimore right now with some people. And I'm not thinking of anybody like on social media. Like, I just don't understand. Like, they're not even. Again, I know I say this a lot and I say the same things a lot, but I truly believe it. Like, they're not even playing 500 baseball the last 30 games. So if you, at no point in the last 10, 20, 30 games, you're not even playing 500 baseball, it really makes it hard for me to lay a big number with you or to bet you with a guy like, I don't know, Zach Eflin, who has historically struggled on the loan or struggled on the road. Not to mention Cleveland saw him last year. I mean, and he went 3 innings, gave up 9 hits and 6 runs. Like, I don't trust Zach Eflin at all on the road in any way, shape, or form. And then on top of that, I don't trust the same thing I feel about the Baltimore bullpen. So regardless if Kimbrel's available or not, I mean, it doesn't really matter. I mean, they essentially brought over the Phillies bullpen that failed them last year. Like, I mean, I really don't understand it. So I'm not trying to make a case that Joey Cantillo is some special kid that's going to be a crazy good prospect and yada, yada, yada. But at the same time, if he gives me, I don't know, 3-4 innings, I mean, I honestly think we're going to be okay, because then you can just throw out Xavier Curry, Nick Sandlin, Tim Herron. And again, I know these guys aren't very special, but keep in mind, Tim Herron has a 1.44 ERA. I mean, he's a nasty lefty coming out of that Cleveland pen. So I understand that the Cleveland bullpen has a little bit of concerns because they use Clase, Gaddis, Cade Smith going on back-to-back days. I honestly feel like there's such an advantage for Cleveland. It doesn't really matter in the pitching. So Cleveland's the only way I look. There's no way I can get to Baltimore here today. I just feel like I missed the number big time.
It's just crazy to think.
I'm so mad at myself.
It's the Orioles against Cantillo. Zach Eflin's on the mound. It's close to a pick'em, and we're polling towards Cleveland. Like, the viewers are, it's crazy. The fall of the public perception of Baltimore Orioles is something that a novel needs to be written about. I mean, everyone has just bailed on this team. I personally would only bet Baltimore here at this price, but no, absolutely not. Not going to do it.
Can't.
Next. Tampa Bay, Houston. Couple people in the Discord are huge on Houston. I think it was Charles last night. Houston -1.5, it's like his play of the month or some shit he said. Like, a couple people are huge on Houston. Just a blind fade of Littell. I forget who it was. Sorry, I would like to give you your credit for those of you that were all in on Houston. I can't remember who exactly said it, but there's some people that are very big on Houston in this game. Do you agree with them?
Yeah, I mean, I played over 8 personally. Now I feel like I don't know where I wrote my notes.
Well, here's the thing, because obviously I thought that also, but I almost bet the over in this game last night, and I would have been pissed if I did. Final score 3-2, just not at all what I was expecting.
It's just funny because sorry to interrupt you, but it's funny because I sat there when the Rays scored 2 runs in the first inning. I was pissed off that I didn't play their first 5 team total over 1.5. And now that I look at the game, it's probably a good thing I didn't bet it, because if I would have bet that, I would have felt very lucky that I hit that. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like one of those things where, like, you were right. Yeah, I was right. I probably should have bet that, but at the same time, it was very lucky. So it's really hard to sit there and like pound your chest, be like, aha, I had that one right.
They didn't do shit after that. So
right.
How can I sit there and trust them to get to Ronel Blanco in Houston? I get that. The Astros bats, though, I don't know what I think about this offense right now. And Zach Littell has the craziest variance ever. I mean, dude, we've seen him go out there and on several occasions pitch great, and we've also seen he'll go out there and look like he needs to be DFA'd. So there's just such a wide spectrum on what kind of performance we could see from Zach Littell that there's no way I put any money on this.
Yeah, I played over 8 just because of Littell on the road this year has been kind of a fade for me. I just felt that 8 was a really low number. I get that Blanco has been pretty damn good for them, and he's coming off of 2 back-to-back like mediocre starts. But at the same time, like, he's not a guy. I just don't feel like he's going to go 7 innings and 2 runs here today. And if he does, so be it. But at the same time, I don't think that I don't think that the Rays lineup is as bad as some people make it out to be with all the trades and whatnot. I mean, to get Christopher Morel back for Isaac Paredes, I mean, I'm not like a big Christopher Morel guy, but I mean, he does provide power in that lineup. In a small ballpark like Houston, I'll take my chances. And then on top of that, if you look at the bullpen situation, I mean, the Houston bullpen, I mean, Hader, Presley, Abreu, all have worked. I mean, they've all worked 3 of the last 5 nights. So I have a hard time believing we see any of those guys here tonight. So it might be like a little bit of a bullpen by committee for them. And then as far as the Tampa Bay side goes, they're rested and ready to go. But I mean, they've traded so many of those guys, like it doesn't even really worry about me. So I just felt like 8 was too small. It hasn't moved, so I might be probably wrong. So I'm not going to make it seem like I'm in love with it because I figured it'd be 8.5 by now, and it's not. So I did play over 8 though.
I would probably go Astros minus 1.5 and tail Charles because he was.
Holy shit, it's 7.5 now. So,
well, next up.
Well, scratch all that.
So everything I just said, just throw it out. You know what though? The market moved against a several easy
I know.
winners.
I'm not going to be
night.
mad, but I am. The only reason I'm mad is because I told myself last night, just wait till the morning for everything. And I didn't, and every single play lost value in the wrong.
Yeah, well, I mean, last night I was questionable about my Red Sox bet. I was questionable about my Royals bet because I thought the price was sketchy. Market was moving against me. Didn't matter. I mean, those were no sweat wins, so I'm not really worried about it. Next up, we got Miami on the road in Atlanta.
They just keep on winning, dude. They just keep on winning.
So you're a Braves guy. You're a Braves guy.
I'm a Brave. Hey. Chop, chop, baby. Just keep on keeping on.
Going back to it?
That's the only way you can go for me. Again, you're starting to get into that territory where it's in the minus 120, 25 areas. But Grant Holmes was finding his first start on the road in Milwaukee, a team that's first in their division, and now he's going to face a Miami team that is really not even trying to win baseball games right now. So, I understand that Miami looks really decent in the first 2 innings yesterday, 2 or 3 innings. And besides that, they absolutely fell off a cliff, and they've done that a couple times in the last week or so since then. They'll score. I think they did that against Tampa Bay, if I'm not mistaken, as well, where they scored a few runs early, didn't do anything the whole rest of the game, and then it's kind of fizzled out after that. So as long as Grant Holmes can pitch somewhat decently in this game, which I have no reason to believe that, I don't think he will. It's Braves minus 1.5 for me. So I guess you could talk about the Braves bullpen. I guess maybe a little bit of a situation with Iglesias having the day off yesterday, but going 3 days prior to that. And then Jimenez, who went 28 yesterday, he's worked. I don't think he's going to be available, but you still should have Bummer, Minter, and Pierce Johnson, which are the 3 that I would want available. So not to mention the fact that that Jesse Chavez in long relief has actually been pretty decent for them at times. So it's Braves minus 1.5. There's no reason to stop it.
If last year,
What a
year's
heel
show,
turn, right?
Yeah, if people,
I mean, come on.
if people could
I'm like
see you
Hogan
on
at
the
Bash
show
at the beach.
doing the chop on the show, people last year would have said it was AI created. For those of you that are new to the show, weren't watching last year, Toast was like the resident Braves hater. And like that's in the comments, trashed him for it like every single day. So the fact that he's on the show doing the chop, yeah, it's a heel turn. He's pro Braves now. Next game, Rockies Padres. Your boys look sweet last night, Toast.
I mean,
really
it
sharp
never
game.
fails. Like I get it, it never fails. Like I should have known.
Best bullpen in the league, though, right?
Yeah, like I said, never fails. The first opportunity they have to blow it, there it was. So, I mean, the only thing that gives me like a little salt, it's not, I shouldn't think this way, but never mind.
What,
Stop
people's laughing at you.
I can't.
Padres minus 1.5. Come on, best bullpen in the league, you said, right? You should do it. It's probably a good bet.
Perez?
Yeah,
I'm good.
Best bullpen in the league, bro.
They do have the best bullpen in the league.
Yes, so minus 1.5.
I don't know. Yo, I saw pictures of Jeremiah Estrada working as a Southwest ticket agent yesterday. And I wrote him a little message on Instagram and told him I hope he didn't forget his freaking airport badge because he's going to need it back soon. That piece of shit. I don't even care anymore. It's honestly, it's Rockies or pass, because honestly, the Rockies for some reason just don't lose to the Padres. They are 6-2 against the Padres this year. I'm not even making a joke. Like, this, for whatever reason, Dodgers have this issue with Pittsburgh. I mean, certain teams just can't figure it out. I don't know what it is. I'm not going to act like I do, but for whatever reason, the Padres play like dog shit against the Rockies. I have no interest in betting the Padres today.
I'm good on this game. Just next. Well, there's two really good ones to talk about too. Oh no, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The two really good ones are after this though. The Mets, and I like the games after this. I bet one of them and I'm down to bet the other one. But so we have one more game that I passed on. But I think this is an interesting game, at least to talk about. We got Flaherty making a start for the Dodgers on the road in Oakland, a lineup that continues to
Smash.
I mean, they didn't come through for me a few nights back. I think it was on Wednesday when I had Oakland team total over 3.5. And I expressed yesterday, I said Oakland or pass on the show. And I was like, guys, maybe this lineup is cooling off. I'm too scared to play it. They came through. I mean, I think they did score all their runs in one inning, though. I think which is worth noting, right? Didn't they score 6 in one inning? Worth noting. Flaherty's been good as shit. I mean, part of me also thinks Dodgers at this price is kind of a gift with Flaherty on the mound, but I won't do that. No way. So this is a straight pass for me.
Yeah, I'm going right back to the well. Oakland first 5, team total over 1.5, minus 110. I just can't. I can't not do it. Until Oakland shows me that they're slowing down. I get it. They had one bad Wednesday when Logan Webb went superhuman for somehow in San Francisco. Besides that, this team has been absolutely rolling right now. And Jack Flaherty, again, this isn't like a big flay to Jack Flaherty or anything like that. He's been really good, but I also don't think 2 runs in 5 innings in a Dodger debut is too crazy. Not to mention the fact that Oakland's already seen Mr. Jack Flaherty this year. He went 6 innings, gave up 9 hits and 6 runs. So it's not like Oakland's looking at Jack Flaherty on the mound and shitting their pants. So they're probably more like licking their chops. So I'll take my chances at 1.5 in the first 5 with Mr. Jack Flaherty with his new digs. So second to last time the Dodgers will ever be in the Coliseum as well. You never know. Things just happen.
Second to last time, right? I mean, not that they've played. They're not in the same division, so it's not like they played there a million times. But I guess over the years, right?
Yeah, over the years, it's a little history's been built up. They're all both California teams. All that BS.
Look at that ROI for Oakland, minus 1.1%. Almost back. That's to crazy. 0. Yeah. If you've been betting Oakland the entire season, all those losses early, you've almost got all your money back. In fact, one more win. They win tonight, you will officially be even betting Oakland the entire season. Meanwhile, if you've been betting the Dodgers all year, you're down about 9%. So the Oakland A's, much more profitable team to bet this year than the Dodgers. Can we talk Grimace ball? Mets up. No hezzy. Mets up. Toast, would you like to render a guess at what the Mets record is in David Peterson's last 9 starts?
David Peterson's last 9 starts?
Mm-hmm. The answer is 8-1.
I was going to say 8-2 their last 10, so I guess 8-1.
This man encompasses what it means to be Grimace. He doesn't necessarily always look great.
I thought we were going to get he's a gamer.
He is a gamer. That's exactly what I was going to say next. He's a gamer. When Peterson's on the mound, Grimace wins. And it's not necessarily because he deals. He's struggled a few times. He's definitely struggled on the road, walks a lot of guys, pitches into a lot of full counts, as someone so eloquently pointed out in the Discord last night. But Grimace wins. Straight up, Grimace still wins when he's on the mound. And look, Jose Soriano is by far the Angels' best pitcher. I don't think the Mets have ever seen him, which isn't a great look. But if there's one thing, and this is dating back multiple years, if there's one spot that I trust the Mets, it's against a right-handed pitcher that throws velocity. And this guy throws a sinker and a 4-seam fastball. Majority of his pitches are coming in with heat. And that's kind of where I trust the Mets, is to hit those kind of pitchers. I don't like the Mets. against some of the guys that come in here with some nice breaking stuff or a nice changeup. Or I don't blindly trust the Mets against lefties either, but the Mets against a righty that's bringing velocity, I can get behind it. The odds makers haven't been respecting the Mets this entire Grimace run. I mean, the Angels are one of the worst teams in Major League Baseball.
True.
So yeah, I'm on Grimace without a doubt.
Yeah, I'm glad that you said that because I was thinking the same thing. I was almost thinking this price is sketch, but they've been mispricing the Mets. I mean, in my opinion, for a couple weeks now. I mean, you could say the whole Grimace run, I guess, if you wanted. But the only thing that the pitch mix point took a lot of what I wanted to say. I really like that. But again, Soriano really good against lefty bats. Well, the only lefties you're going to see today is Winker and McNeil, I guess, and Nimmo is if he's back and healthy to go, so if he's fine. So, but you're going to see 9 guys from the right-handed side of the plate. And again, what Saw said about the pitch mix, I couldn't agree more with. Mets on the road are a top 5 offense, top 2 offense on full season versus right-handed pitching. It's all green as well. Not to mention the fact that Soriano most likely not going to go super deep into this game. I just feel like however many advantages the Mets have. I mean, if you look at that bullpen, I mean, they used Maton yesterday and Budo for 27. I mean, essentially everybody in that Mets bullpen is rested and ready to go. And the Angels, I think they used like 4 guys yesterday or whatever it was. They used their bottom 3 guys, and then the guys that were like Strickland and Ben Joyce, who's their major guys, have worked 2 of the last 3 days and whatnot. So not only is the Angels bullpen, I mean, they're fine, they're going to be available, but they're not 100%. And the Mets have seen the lower level guys that usually come in first. So I just feel like there's too many advantages with the Mets to pass them up at this price.
Grimace.
Not to mention David Peterson's just solid. He's going to give you 5 or 6 innings of 2-run baseball. Like, you can win baseball games with that. That's just nothing flashy, but
last game up, arguably one of the best games on the board. Phillies Mariners. The Phillies got slapped around last night in a violent fashion. Shit was 8-0 before I even got it on the TV. Mariners beat the shit out of the Phillies last night, and the Phillies offensive struggles continue. This is the milk has gone bad in Philadelphia, and you're not going to find a happier guy about it than you're looking at right here on the screen. Couldn't have happened to a nicer group of folks. Seriously, screw the Phillies, man. It would only be Seattle here. This team can't hit. Bryce Harper, what is he, like 2 for his last 192 at bats?
Okay.
Worst hitter in the NL. Let's go. I didn't bet this. I'm just talking some shit. But if I was to bet it, how could you not take the Mariners, one of the better home teams in baseball, one of the best home teams in baseball, with a guy on the mound, Bryce Miller, who's pitched really well at home in Seattle. On the road, Bryce Miller is kind of a disaster, but at home in Seattle, he's been really good pitching against the Phillies, a lineup that's not hitting. Also, I mean, is this a bullpen day for the Phillies? Their bullpen's been pretty ass recently. So Colby Allard is going to come in the second inning. I think he's the primary pitcher.
That's still the freaking bullpen day essentially.
Yeah, it's they got Kerkering starting. Who, I mean, he hasn't even been good. Kerkering, right? I mean, the Phillies bullpen has been a disaster. Now with Estevez, I expect it to be better. Kerkering's got a 4.09 ERA on his last 13 appearances. But
again, like, he's their setup man too. So it's like, it's so weird that that's the guy that they plan to use. So if Rob Thompson has some like mastermind plan to get through this game, because I'm watching the Phillies all next week. I know that Wheeler's on the mound tomorrow. So I mean, I guess that maybe he's assuming that, like, I'm trying to understand what the plan would be. Like, if you get Wheeler, you know, he probably knows he's going to have Wheeler for 5 or 6 or 7. So if he saves Estevez, he'll probably have him for Wheeler. Like, I'm just trying. That's how I made it. I'm on Seattle, by the way. I don't understand this price. I don't understand how it went down. I just don't get it. Bryce Harper, I have it written down here. Since July 24th, it's 1 for 35 at the plate, striking out 35% of the time, walking less than 6% of the time. It's just absolutely terrible. And not to mention the fact that, like Sauce said, Bryce Miller at home has been absolutely fantastic. 7 innings, 3 hits, no runs against the Angels. They're a dog shit team. What about the Baltimore Orioles, first place in their division? 5 2/3, 2 runs. What about Minnesota, who's first in their division? 5 innings, 2 runs as well. We can keep on going back, but Seattle didn't use anybody that they needed to use in their bullpen yesterday either. Not to mention the fact that I do think that this Seattle offense is really starting to turn a corner. I mean, again, they had one bad Wednesday in Boston. You take that out, 10, 10, 7, 6, 6, 10 runs scored for this team the last, however many games I just ran off. So I just don't understand this price at all, but I don't really care. I still bet Seattle. And I'm still confident with it. So I'm not going to let the line movement worry me. I let it worry me yesterday too much. And all 3 of the games that I worried about the line movement in, they all 3 cashed, and it was actually pretty freaking easy. So I'm not going to let the line movement worry me. I'm on Seattle. I like it.
All right. Good shit. Community parlay. Hit him with the song.
Community parlay, the parlay we bet, yeah. Community parlay is for the community. We community, making a parlay. Yeah.
Proverbier says I've been riding Bryce Harper. All right. Let's get going. Let's get going. Community parlay.
Dude, my son introduced me to like Twitch streaming. Like I knew what it was, but like I didn't know like all the people. And I saw this video of this guy catching this child predator and with Akon, and the Akon was like singing Locked Up. I was in tears laughing so hard.
Royals. Yeah, I saw like the headline, didn't click on the article.
Oh my god.
So like to catch this guy, they brought Akon with them.
I get it. It's Wyatt's stuff, so I was like half paying attention, but they're all like dressed up in like some Indian gear. I don't know what the hell's going on. You know how
some of that stuff is weird. Like honestly,
yeah.
Obviously it's like great to get those kind of people like out of society, but
right.
Like it's like some of those people like in their free time spend like days posing as like a 13-year-old girl on the internet. Yeah. And also like hey, if they get Predator off the street, cool. But like also I take a step back and be like, what are you doing?
No, trust me, I get it. It was weird. They're all in like Indian outfits and stuff, but like he had like when I just saw Akon singing, I was like, what is going on right now? Like he probably made like 200,000 for that too.
So it looks like Yankees is the first leg of the community parlay. Diamondbacks Pirates. They like the Pirates, I think, on that one because Mitch Keller's on the mound.
Yeah.
Then Bo Sox, Red Sox. Twins. Then Reds. The one guy's really offended that we said Bryce Harper's cold. Dude, he hasn't had a hit in like 7 games.
Did you not hear? Do you want me to read it off again?
No, I we're not like saying Bryce Harper sucks. We're just saying he's ice cold, which he is.
Bryce Harper's my favorite player in the league.
Yeah, what are you offended by the facts?
I wear Phillies gear because of.
Are you trying to pretend he's not cold? I don't understand what your point even is. Bryce Harper hasn't had a hit in over a week, a single hit. And that's just a fact. That's not saying Bryce Harper sucks. It's just he hasn't had a hit in over a week.
I will say, I think this is such a stupid thing that I know this. I think he leads the league in home runs on Saturdays.
Really?
Yeah.
So next up, Guardians.
Somebody I follow. Yes, Bryce Harper has hit a home run on 4 straight Saturdays and 7 of the last 8 Saturdays.
Really? Yeah, last Saturday, 1 for 4 with a home run. Other than that home run last Saturday, in the previous 10 days, he has 0 hits.
Yep.
Okay, more teams. Guardians, Astros, Braves, Padres.
Toronto. Oh my god. This is where I feel like the books know me and they're like begging me. Like Toronto, they're giving me Toronto at plus 190 right now.
I can assure you they don't know you and they're not begging you.
It sure as hell feels like it.
It might feel like it. I'm not arguing that. Sure feels like it.
I can hear my kid. He's pissed off because my mom, he learned how to do FaceTime. And so when nobody picks up, he gets like legit pissed off.
The guy who was mad that we said Bryce Harper is cold is now saying, yes, Bryce Harper is cold right now. So what were you mad at? We said the same thing. Triggered. Next up, Dodgers money line, Mets money line, Mariners money line, and then throw a second place in there. Said the same thing we did, but he was mad before.
This show sucks. Man, Aaron Judge has just killed Jose Barrios. My God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's his price to hit a home run? Minus 165. Probably really
People
good
still
value.
bet it.
Yeah, well, I mean, probably still hit. Like, dude's a monster.
Your boy Andrew Vaughn has some pretty good numbers against Bailey Ober, if you're trying to get crazy.
Nick Johnson said before Bryce Harper hit a home run. Bryce Harper would have 4 straight Saturdays. Maybe he snaps it. Community parlay: Yankees money line, Red Sox money line, Braves money line, Mets money line plus 597. That's a community parlay. Did you cook up an underdog? Let's see what prop Beaver cooked up.
I thought I smelled something.
All right. Here's Prop Beaver's underdog pick'em. Michael Lorenzen, lower fantasy points. Love it. Michael Lorenzen on the road. Dope. Eflin, lower fantasy points. All right. I'm indifferent about that one. I could get with it. And Littell, lower fantasy points. Yeah, I guess. So that's a 3-pick. Today's free square. What is today's free square? Look, De La Cruz is known as the king now. Who's the king? Oh, LeBron. What is he playing? I guess a USA game. Over a half point. Okay, so if you're located in one of these states highlighted on this map, there it is. If you're located in one of these states highlighted in yellow, you can head over to the website Underdog Fantasy or download the app. When you make your account, make sure you use the promo code BET, B-E-T. That'll get you a free $100 deposit bonus match, and you get to use this free leg in your first pick 'em. LeBron James over a half point. Just need 1 point for LeBron James, essentially free. So, everyone, thanks for watching. Enjoy your Saturday. We'll be back tomorrow morning, same time. Yeah, I may add. I already have 4 bets posted on the site. I may add